What's up, everybody? It is me, KiNGAlpha. Hope everybody's doing great. So, just want to say, guys, thank you guys so much for all the support on my YouTube channel recently. It's been great. I have been putting up community polls in case you are interested in seeing what content you want me to kind of put up and everything. I'm trying to engage a bit more. Just to also just throw that in there really quick as well. I've been doing TikTok as well. I still stream on Twitch, and I also have been putting up YouTube short videos as well. So if you do want to support me in multiple little areas, even giving a like or commenting or whatever, or just a view, does help me out, guys. So we're gonna get into this tier list for season 15 of Conqueror's Blade. I did a weapon one mainly because of the fact that like it's pretty obvious which ones are going to be very dominant, even when all the attributes are going to be allowed to, or sorry, the extra added points, or I think it's attributes or whatever, onto the weapons will be available for everybody. And there's just pretty clear weapons that are kind of like top tier and which ones are bottom tier and stuff. Mainly, and this is one of those things where it's mainly due to the runes that come out in the season. A lot of the times, certain weapons can be king tier simply because of the fact that there's one rune that literally makes the weapon just stand out more than the others. So yeah, this is more or less what it's gonna kind of be like. And this is gonna be going off of more or less everything. It's gonna kind of do TW, um, your regular siege, ranked, and again, I just want to iterate this as well. Some of these classes I can say are ass, or need a buff, or they're beta or whatever. But just do keep in mind, if a player is good at this class, or there's a few people good at this class, good. Let them be good at it and everything. Um, it's just one of those things of what's the meta right now. What will someone say? Oh, if you're playing that class, you're basically feeding and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. So we're gonna do melee first, and then obviously the range classes. Funny enough, I'll be honest. I was like looking at the tier list, and I was like, damn. It's like we have so many melee classes, not enough like range classes. And I was like, this list could really be larger. I really do wish that they would just put. I know they just put chain dart in and everything last season, but still, I just feel like it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, man. It's like one of those things where you just know all the seasons that have came out, and we've only gotten this few weapons. I feel like it was a bit like For Honor, where more weapons were kind of out and everything. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. Anyways, let's get into this. So, Chain Dart, Chain Dart and Scimitar. I'm definitely gonna put this at more or less king tier because even though it's a class that has been nerfed, I think it was nerfed about 2 to 3 to 4 times. I think it's still really, really good. Does it do somewhat insane damage? No, but it's still a great class to. You've seen it in CBLs, you've seen it in ranked or this or that. Having 2 to 3 of these guys is ridiculous. Easy to catch out heroes. Easy to yeah, just catch out heroes, execute the heroes. I've always said in a lot of the tournaments as well, or even like ranked, it's one of those things where the more you kill those heroes, that's what changes things. If you kill those heroes, you land those kills. You're increasing the timer of the enemy teammates or whatever, and it's really really good. And Chain Dart is one of those classes you can actually execute those heroes. Now the big thing is though, I will say this is the skill cap on using this class. It may be king tier, but it requires a lot of skill. It may seem like it doesn't, but due to how many players, and I have to be honest here as well, with how many players are currently playing CB, a lot of the players are mainly veterans, mainly people that do try and actually play very competitively all the time, and practice all the time. So when you're using a class like Chain Dart, most likely if there's someone else that you're playing against, there's gonna be people that know how to counter the class, and it's still really really good at the moment. So yeah. Dual blades. I'm gonna be putting dual blades at beta tier, mainly because dual blades is flip flop. There's seasons where it comes out where dual blades are great due to the runes, and then there's a season where all of a sudden the runes are so bad and nobody uses dual blade, and especially due to chain dart being around. I'm just gonna call it chain dart, by the way. Um, Due to chain dart being around, it kind of makes dual blade irrelevant sometimes. Them working together is great, but is just one of those things where it's like chain dart is very mobile. You know, you can do a good amount of damage versus units as well, and you can really secure those kills for your teammates and escape really well with chain dart on like lower cooldowns and everything. Whereas like dual blades is great, but you need a very high skill cap. You also need to, you know, the cooldowns are pretty high, all that type of stuff. So yeah, it's beta tier mainly due to the runes. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't think it needs a buff. It definitely doesn't need a buff. But it's one of those things where it's just since the runes this season aren't good, you know, it's a beta tier weapon. I feel. Glaive. I'm gonna be putting Glaive at beta tier. Um, it's one of those things I want to kind of put it at buff, but at the same time, I think everyone witnessed how good Glaive was last season when there was the immunity on your ult. When you're doing Flying Reaper and you don't get stopped by like some little grain of rice being thrown at you. Um, it's one of those things where Glaive felt insane. It was one of those things where you know you're playing Glaive and you're ulting and you felt almost unstoppable unless someone grabbed you or unless someone did a ult that's chain locking, etc. It was so freaking good. um but once the thing is once we lost that rune, Glaive immediately just went down. And it's one of those things where there's just better heavy armor classes that do the thing that Glaive does, and the only reason you kind of play Glaive is whether you just enjoy playing Glaive yourself or you just actually are good at playing Glaive by you're just good at playing Glaive. And I think if that rune ever comes back where you can get the ultimate and just be use Flying Reaper for example or Hail of Blades with CC immunity, it's one of those things where it'll be king tier again. But it just isn't this season. It just definitely isn't. You're seeing obviously a lot of Maul this season. So yeah. Um, I'm gonna put Longsword at alpha tier, mainly due to the fact of just the role it plays. It's one of those things where a good Longsword player can help out the team. Is it something you definitely should use? Probably not, but just one of them is still really good because the healing, the speed boost. Um, it's still playing its part into to being a support role. I really do wish I know they had buffed it previously before into trying to make it do more damage and everything. I low key really wish they would have just buffed it more into just a support class. Again, instead of just trying to say, oh, we want to give it more damage. Like, no, I think let the other class be damage. We don't have support classes like that, so let it be support. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping maybe they'll give another buff to Longsword in terms of being a support class. However, definitely want to just say though that like it's still an alpha tier thing. It's one of those things, especially when you can like it's just a very good tanky class. It's a good class. It's just one of those things where I don't want to say like you're gonna see 3 to 4 long swords at the moment. No, you're not. But when you see a good longsword player and they're playing really well, there can be very good support, very good crowd control type of effects with Clash of Shields, etc. So it is a good class. It just needs to be played right. Maul is king tier right now. I think I don't know how many times I've been seeing people complain about it, or that there's 15 Mauls in the team, or whether 10 out of the 15 players are Maul players. Maul this season is really, really good, especially due to the Earth Splitter rune working correctly. That you get, I think it's 50% extra range on it on Earth Splitter, and due to the fact that you can now combo, Mighty Milner into this and Uko, or not Uko's Doom. I'm very sorry. I forgot what it's already called. I'm still gonna call it Uko's Doom. Uko's Doom into more or less using any other combo. The fact that you can use 2 skills and basically get the last proc off, the stage 5 proc off, it's huge. It makes the class insane. I think when they did do it, it was awesome. But the fact that like it's simply just one of those classes where right now it's the the highest damage dealer in terms of units and heroes. It's just crazy. And especially during blue era, during purple era only, it's one of those things you're just really not going to be able to stop Maul. And due to the Reforge system as well right now, the Reforge system, the easiest way for Maul, the best way you can get a god tier Maul is literally reforging a Maul, and you have a very high chance of getting insanely good stats. And due to the reforge system of all the other weapons and everything, they have a less chance of getting really, really good stats compared to the Maul, where the Maul just has literally just blunt. That's it. Whereas, like, for example, if they did it for Nodachi, where they took blunt damage out, you could probably roll god tier Nodachis as well. But sadly, it's only for Maul that has the highest chance of getting some insane stats. And those stats will matter if you're getting legendary 3 something on each of the stuff and getting plus 16 strength, plus, whatever toughness, this and that. Maul is great. I think personally, I only started playing Maul when it first came out, mainly due to unit killing. I'll be honest. When I first came into CB, and I was like, it was the heroes and units. I was like, I want to kill units, and that was the best class to do it. But right now, it's just doing it where it's literally dominating both sides of the play. You're just able to smack a hero silly, but then you're also able to just demolish units in 2 seconds as well. So yeah, short sword. I'm gonna be putting short sword at king tier. Everybody knows this. TW ranked. It's still really good. Is it a unit killer? No, but it's a great opener. I think I don't know. It's really hilarious, but funny enough, short sword has never been in a bad place ever due to the fact that it's the tankiest class in the game. It plays a role, and good short sword players are always needed. So it's just crazy that like short sword's always been king tier simply due to the fact of like how unkillable it can be, and what it can really do, especially with all of its ults and all that type of stuff. So I don't really need to go into full explanation, but short sword is basically gonna stay king tier. The runes sometimes can be pretty but it still is one of those things where you always really enjoy a good short sword on your team, whether he's opening things up, whether he's watching the flank and ulting the flank on Cav, etc. Or staying on the point, just staying on the point at the end of the thing. But yeah, short sword is really good. Are you gonna see insane amount of them? Probably not due to Maul right now. Um, but nonetheless, when you need to hold a point for like a minute and a half, you'll start seeing short swords pop up, and it's just one of those things. And in TW, this is one of those things you always, always, always see a short sword, especially in the higher play of TW and ranked and stuff. So yeah. Pike. I'm gonna be putting Pike at king tier. Pike is king tier right now because I kind of want to almost say due to the servers. Sometimes the servers is kind of bullshit, and sometimes Pike still kind of does like a 360 spin hitting you and stuff. I know some players have obviously learned certain moves and everything and techniques that they can use to their advantage on this. I've seen it, and it's one of those things where it's just like, bruh, like the speed boost and this and that. Anyways, it's still a really good damage dealer class. Are you gonna see insane amount of pikes? Probably not, but you will know when you face a really good pike because they will dominate the field, they'll dominate the units, dominate the heroes. It's still really, really good and relevant in this era. So many seasons afterwards, and it's just one of those things where it's like as long as you do time things correctly, it's not one of those. It's not an easy class. I'll say that it's not an easy class. However, with enough games and practice and everything, you can become a good pike, and it can dominate the field. Whether it's again versus heroes, whether it's versus units or anything like that. No Dachi. Okay, so I'm gonna be a bit biased here, but yeah, I'm gonna be a bit biased here. I'm putting Nodachi king tier. I love Nodachi. Um, should it maybe be alpha tier? I don't know, but Nodachi has a really good rune right now. That you can basically get every 3 kills. You can get a blood stack. And overall the life steal is just insane. As long as you time things correctly with Nodachi, especially the CC immunity on your fearless, and I think it was broken at one point as well with Monstrous Blade doing damage and doing like 13k damage or whatever like that. Nodachi is really, really good. I think Is it one thing where you're gonna see a lot of them being used constantly, like Maul? Probably not. But trust the matter when I say you'll face no doubt if there's someone that is playing Nodachi, is going to be someone that's really really good with most likely the players that are playing right now with the amount of players. If someone is playing Nodachi in a higher level, they most likely have a lot of games. They know what they're doing, um, and they can be a nuisance. They're one of those things where sometimes they do feel unkillable, and unless you have two heroes on top of them, it's one of those things where it's like, dude, this fucking class is not dying. He's just life stealing the whole thing. Um, and especially again due to their rune as well of getting the blood stacks, it's a really really good class, especially once it gets its extra stats on the weapons as well. Ooh, baby, it's gonna be pretty good. All right, next is Polex. Now, I'm yeah, I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna put Polex at. I kind of want to put it in between King tier and Alpha tier, because is it insane? Like, are you seeing everybody using it, and are you seeing it dominate the field? No. However, at the moment, it's still a very good tanky class, and it's also a good class. I'm gonna put it at King tier, yeah, because honestly, even though Maul basically does a shit ton of damage, a shit ton of basically everything, Polex is still really really good with Beck de Corbin and also using Lachabar Strike. It's still really good, and Weapon Dance as well. It's one of those classes where it's a good CC class, but also a very good class to use with units. I've always loved Poleaxe in terms of the fact that stopping things, and especially Poleaxe was super dominant when it had its immunity on its ult. Well, Lachabar Strike. So it's one of those things I'm going to be putting at King tier simply because of how good it is at harassing. More or less, these are like the top 6 classes to really use in CB right now, and I think this is a good area to kind of stop with the King tier because um I gotta really say it. Poleaxe is doing its job. It's doing its job. Is it you know crazy OP like it used to be? Probably not because of Maul. But it's definitely a really good class in the right hands, and I think if you haven't played Poleaxe in a minute, find the right Poleaxe loadout. Whether it's doing pushback, weapon dance, Beck the Corbin, and then Lachabar Strike. You'll find yourself really, really good at either if you time it, you can really lock down heroes, or whether you time it and you can really lock down units and allow your units to do really well. That's something I've always enjoyed with Poleaxe is the fact that whether sometimes you play for yourself or sometimes you play like versus units, and then sometimes you play versus heroes. It's really, really good. Spear. Okay, some people are gonna hate me for this. I want to put Spear kind of beta tier, but I still would want Spear to get a buff. Um, I know some people are gonna be like, dude, I love Spear. I like using Spear sometimes, like in ranked for field battles, or TW in field battles as well, and still does good damage, this and that. My big thing is due to all these classes right now, I feel like personally Spear is only good for basically just chasing down and trying to execute a hero. And I feel overall, what's the point of using that class, and especially when it doesn't have insanely good runes or anything like that? When you can just use Chain Dart, you can just use Pike. You can use probably another class to chase down heroes and everything. I think it has its one sole play. I've tried playing Spear and everything as well. It's really good to use with Cav. But it's just one of those things. I don't know. I would still love to see a buff. I would kind of like to see Spear kind of come back to a little bit of what it used to be. Um, but especially ever since Pike came out, again, I've been feeling that it just needed a buff. Um, Let me know what you guys think. I know also it is to blame on the servers as well, because I know Spear is still pretty good on the Conqueror's Blade dev servers. But I don't know. My personal opinion is that just please buff it. Just buff it. Overall, just buff it, please. All right. The next class is Shortbow. I'm gonna be putting it at beta tier. Now, the only reason I'm putting it really at beta tier is due to the fact that Shortbow is all right. Like it's still good maybe to be used in deathmatch, whether you're targeting heroes or units and things like that. But overall, I mean, Longbow has kind of like been buffed enough that it's actually pretty good. However, you still need to be good with this class. And it's one of those things where I don't know, Shortbow right now, you're not gonna be seeing Shortbow, especially due to a lot of it right now is a lot of very heavy armor with some medium armor, and then you have like chain dart, and it's one of those things where, crazy enough, due to chain dart, due to a lot of these other classes, and you're using your only escape is rolling escape, and shortbow doesn't do great damage versus units unless it's ranged, and it's one of those things where I'm playing shortbow and I'm literally sitting there for a good minute shooting, 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 and if it's in a blob fight, I'm literally trying to get as high as possible shooting and trying to use multiple skills because the skills are on low cooldown, but again, it's one of those things. Everyone's heavy armor, so you're sometimes hitting people for 600, and that's not doing anything. It is still a good class to try and stun lock people, execute people, and things like that. But yeah, I think it's just beta tier right now due to just how good the heavy armor meta is. Longbow, I want to put it at beta tier, kind of beta alpha tier, because I do feel like Longbow is better than Shortbow. Um, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's a niche class, I guess. Or I don't know if that's the right word for it. It's one of those classes where you need to have a lot of games. You need to be able to have good aim. You need to be able to know when to get off your horse, when to be on your horse, know how to execute. So I'm gonna put it beta tier because it's one of those things where it's really, really, really one of those classes where it really depends on the player and how they play. And again, it's like I think especially when you need the stats on your weapon, um, and yeah, it's a one of a kind type of thing. It's one of the kind of a player using it, and just like in the current meta right now, again, it's so rushed that it's like a longbow player. I think fully needs to be able to know the capacity of the situation and be like, okay, I know I can go and come around and like execute this guy, or do an exploding arrow or lightning arrow and catch a couple units, this or that. It is still a good class, but personally, I just don't think it's like one of those things. You'll see maybe a max of 1 to 2 players sometimes in a lobby. So yeah. Musket is alpha tier. The biggest reason I'm putting Musket alpha tier is due to the fact that it's just one of those things where it is still a good hero killing class. The Caltrops, Firebomb, all that other stuff is still really really good. Especially tier 3 area is really good. Tier 4 era is still really good, and you can still see muskets doing really well. And especially piercing the damage of these high heavy armors and everything. So it is still a good class. I think it really just depends on the player. Again, it's one of those things where you're not going to see a lot of muskets, but 1 to 2 muskets, you kind of need to make sure that you remember that they are there, because you never know when you're going to get hit by a bomb, and then they have it where they, gunshot you, just buckshot you, all that other stuff, and you're just like, whoa, you just freaking got one-shotted by a freaking musket because you just forgot that they were actually there. And it's still really good to use musket with caltrops and caltrops, especially for all the cav, and then also stopping all the units charging, but also the firebomb and everything for janissaries, namcans, falcos, etc. What I mean, not falcos, sorry, ball boys. Whatever other units are really there. I think in terms of tier 5 era, this is what you're gonna kind of see still as well. Just due to the meta, I think musket will still be really really good due to the fact that you can drop bombs and like Shenji and stuff, because Shenji is a big thing in tier 5 era. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, if you agree or not. Please let me know, down below in the comment section, whether you feel like a weapon should be in buff or whether it should be actually alpha tier or this or that. Just keep in mind that this tier list was in terms of, normal siege, ranked, TW, and just more or less what I'm really seeing in terms of the overall play of a lot of players, and also just what is really good in terms of multiple situations. So anyways, guys, I will see you guys for the next video. Peace out, and I thank you guys so much for the support on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out the other stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.